wait for a few people to get here. We're going to change the view. Don't worry, you're going to get to see the top-down sharpening. This is a knife that Scab sent me. Let me get the chat set up. I wasn't going to go live for another like 6 minutes, and I did it again where I hit the button. So we are going to sharpen a knife live. We're going to sharpen this one differently than we sharpened the other one because this knife is kind of a weirdish angle, and the setup I had before where I was using the bench, I can't do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hold this in hand, and I'm going to show you guys that sharpening method. I've done it a bunch of times, but I do know there's a lot of new people that have not seen me do that. I haven't done it live in a video for a long time. So we're going to turn this around here in a couple minutes. After I get a few people here, we're going to turn it around and we're going to look at how I've got everything set up. We'll look at the stones I'm going to use. We're going to use a bunch of different stones. This is 1095 steel. This is not a stainless steel. So there's a couple, if you hear any noise in the background, my dog is wearing his collar. My dog is wearing his cone and making a bunch of noise because he's scratching, but he's got a hot spot he keeps licking. At any rate, this is 1095 steel. This came from Scab over at Choir Boys Cutlery. Go check out his channel. As a matter of fact, I need to tell him, I took my watch off. Give me a second, I'll be right back. I took my watch off because I don't like getting all the grit and stuff in it, but I need it to text him because, well, you guys are on my phone, and that's the only place I have his phone number. So hang on a second. I'm gonna go grab that. Watch out, pup. Because, hang on a second. Tell Scab I accidentally started early.
Okay, sending.
There we go. I'll just put that there. I just needed that. So yeah, we're going to sharpen this knife. We're going to do a tip repair. I've got gooseneck, as you guys can see, already set up so that you guys are going to be looking down on the workbench. I'm going to relocate you guys up. You probably have to change the audio, but yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do a different style of sharpening, but we have to do a tip repair. If you can see how hog-nosed the tip of that is, somebody dropped that and busted it into something. So this is, what is this? This is the first production run of the Blackjack Knives Tac Ops series, and this is, as far as I can tell, the only knife that's in the Tac Ops series. It's the only one I saw when I looked it up. So with 1095 steel, you have to worry about corrosion. So this is not bad, but you do see that there is some corrosion on this. I'm not worried so much about corrosion on the blade while we do the sharpening, but we're going to be using water. So a couple things at play here. Hello from France. Well, hello back from France. One of your fellow countrymen is a good friend of mine, Tashi Brucha. So we're gonna clean. I have to clean this up because the problem is I have water stones, like actual water stones, like this, that I can't get oil on. It definitely screws them up. So it's got a bit of oil on it, so I need to clean it up. Hello from India. Well, welcome from India. So I am going to clean it up quick, and then I'll get you guys put in the tripod, but I wanted to let you guys know what we're doing. Where did I put my rag? My rag. I got like hundreds of rags. There it is. In this studio, and I never have one when I need it. So yeah, the reason is I don't want any oil on the surface of that stone. So I want the knife to be clean, which means now we have bare steel that's not being protected, and we're going to use water for our sharpening medium on these stones, well, for our lubrication medium, which means, well, hello from the UK. With that being said, now I have a completely bare steel that's not protected by any oil, and I am going to be exposing it to water. So there's a little solution, a little tip. There's a bit, just a tiny bit in this entire bottle, which is, yes, it is definitely one of those bottles that you see at the restaurants. That's just a clear one. Had barbecue sauce in it. I put a tiny bit of baking soda to lower the pH of the water enough that it doesn't rust. It's not going to cause any oxidation. And if you are here, please hit that like button. But yeah, I think I put a quarter of a teaspoon of baking soda in that. And it wasn't even a full quarter teaspoon. It's enough to It's enough to just lower the pH so you don't get rust. Yeah, these are great. This actually was a barbecue sauce bottle for something we bought, and I was like, that will work perfect for my stones. It's very similar to a wood glue container. So I'm going to get you guys in the gooseneck. So like I said, you guys are going to lose the good audio for a minute. You guys are going to lose the good audio for a minute, and I'm going to get you in that. So I'm going to disconnect the microphone. So that's going to be shitty audio for a second. And I'm going to turn you guys around and make sure that that lens is good and clean. I'm going to put you in here. We'll see if I've got this set up the way I want. That should be good. Now, I will tell you, I am horrible about making sure that I am in the shot the proper way. So let me get this microphone set up. Let me get this microphone set up the proper way. So I've got to get, I'm messing around with cords. Sorry guys, because I have to do it a specific way, or the system doesn't work properly. Put that on there. And I'm working on it, I'm working on it, I'm working on it. Sounded like computer spasms. Okay. Did the audio come back properly? That's the question I have. Did it come back properly? Are you guys able to hear me clearly? Well, welcome from England as well. Let's get this tripod out of there. This tripod came with my new camera, and it has the coolest mounts. It's a two-piece thing, but then you can put it on your phone tripod and connect it, and it's magnetic and it clips. Is the audio back to where it should be? Have we got good audio? Give me a thumbs up if the audio is good. Can you hear me? Yes, sir. Okay, cool. There's always problems with audio when you get new systems and things like that. So I have my reading glasses on. So I'm gonna show you the stones we're gonna use. Now this has to have a full repair, right? You can see that this is a low spot. We're gonna try and repair that. Me and the chicken and the broccoli skull are gonna try and get this done correctly. I was trying to get these all centered. I thought I had it right. There you go. That way we have my quality control guys are here. But the big one is, can you see how bad that tip is? We're going to try and repair all of this. This is a toy surgery session. No, it is not. And I would also ask my moderators to help me out on this, because I do not have a good view. I am like literally this far away from this, and I don't really have a good view of the comment section. And I'm going to be watching the sharpening. At any rate, I'm going to relocate some of this because it's kind of in the way. I have a Goonies coin, by the way, guys. This was a birthday present. So we're going to start. I've got several stones we're going to start with. I think I'm going to try this 230 grit instead of my Atoma. My Atoma is a go-to, but I want to try to see how well this stone works. Now, this came from Aiden. You can see Aiden there in the comment section. You finally get the camera from the R&D. I got my camera back. They just sent me a new one, so I'm going to use it, but I'm not trying to log in a second view. So let me explain what happened. So I purchased this camera, and I already got this one out and tested it and stuff. I purchased this camera to do a lot of stuff on the channel, and I have an affiliate link for these. But what happened was that the video from this camera was really glitchy, and it was not able to, I wasn't able to use it. So this is a brand new camera. I had it out and tested it yesterday. They shipped it to me really fast, and so we're going to be able to start doing some of those double shot things, but I can't use it as a camera in a live stream. So let me get that put away. So I will tell you to buckle up and tuck in, because this is probably going to be a longer video because we have to do a lot of repair. So at any rate, we're going to use this 3M 230 grit. If it doesn't cut the way I want, we'll switch to this Atoma, because I know that this Atoma does cut the way I want. After the Atoma, we're going to use this 400 grit vitrified diamond stone that came from Aiden, and we're going to use it in concert with this. Then, because this is a different type of steel, we are going to do the finish on this 1000 grit I don't know what you want to call it, bonded ceramic stone. So this is a ceramic stone, and we're going to finish it on this. So I'm going to go ahead and get the stones that I don't need out of the way, put them back in the drawer because they are, well, they're in the way. So like I said, with this being carbon steel, we are going to need to think about keeping the stone or the knife a little bit drier and things like that. But like I said, a lot of that's going to get mitigated with the addition of the baking soda in the water. It does make the water a little bit more slick, so it's harder to hand. Well, that's because that's Mr. Broccoli skull. That's a head of broccoli. Or in this case, a skull of broccoli. At any rate, I like to have goofy stuff on my workbench. So these are just splash and go. They're just like a diamond plate, except instead of it being on the plate, it's it's like a fabric film that's glued on. So I don't know how well these are going to hold up, but we're going to see how it cuts. Now, as opposed to when we were doing the sharpening the other day, I am going to go ahead and, this sucks, I'm just going to screw my shoulder up. And today's the first day it hasn't hurt really bad in a while, but we're going to hold the stone in my hand. I'm going to hold it in my hand like this. And it allows me really good control of the angle. I can do it at any angle, but it allows me also to rock the stone back and forth and put a convex edge on this. So we're going to start setting the angle on this. And if this stone might not be coarse enough to do what I want. So I'm not using any pressure. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to just get a start and set my angle because I have to remove a lot of material at this tip. So it's going to take a while. This stone seems to be cutting pretty good. Pretty well, I should say. It's a decent stone. Like I said, no pressure. If you put pressure, you're just wearing out your stones. But yeah, you can see. See, 1095 cuts really quickly. There's a lot. I don't know how much of that black residue you guys can see on that. But so I'm just setting my angles is what I'm doing. And I'm trying to remove a good bit of material so that I can get that tip repair done. This is cutting pretty quick. The problem is you've got to remove a lot of material to fix that tip. So just the tip, just for a minute. And you can see how low this area is. I may tell Scab that I'm not going to be able to get into that. But Captain Haddock, use no sandpaper. Use what is no sandpaper? No sand. I don't use it to sharpen my knives either. No sandpaper. I agree. Oh, look, somebody's asking to be escorted. So I try to keep this family friendly, so... Well, Scab said that this isn't anything he did to this knife. He says that it came that way. And it came from a guy that I think I know who he's talking about. Here's the deal, guys. I do have moderators, and I do moderate the chat because I like to keep this family friendly. So if you have a problem with that, well, that's too bad. It's my channel. You're in my house. Yeah, you can see how low this spot is here. I don't need to put I can show you guys the trick. So if you've never watched a sharpening video here, I can show you the trick to see if you're hitting all the spots. But on a coarse stone like this, it's pretty obvious. You can see where that polished area is. But there is what we always call the Sharpie trick, which means you just take a Sharpie. You take a Sharpie and you run the Sharpie the length of the edge, and then that allows you, now this edge is wet. I really don't need it because you can definitely see the difference. So now you have a black line on your edge that runs the full length. You let it dry for a little bit and you can see areas that you missed. And I'm going to tell you right now, I do not need the magic marker to see the edge where that is bad. So yeah, Scab didn't do it. Is it what? So now that that's dried, you can see we've got that blended tip, but this thing is cutting fast, so it might not take as long as I thought. So, yeah, that's dry enough now. Put a little bit more water on this stone. You want to keep liquid on your stones because it helps keep the cuttings lifted up, and especially on a stone like this where it has gaps. Now the nice thing about these gaps is it allows it to cut for a longer time before I have to clean it off. And on one of these it's really easy. You just rinse it off. You can see here I've got a bunch of steel shavings in that water, and there's, like I said, a little bit of baking soda in this to prevent the rust. So with that Sharpie on the blade, I can just basically run the length of this on both sides, and I can find any low spots that I need to focus on, which the nice thing about freehand sharpening like this is I can absolutely focus on it exactly how I want to. And we'll do a couple passes on this, and then we'll look at what our magic marker's telling us. And as you can see, there's a low spot there. There's a really low spot there, but I am apexing that. So like I could take the time to take that low spot all the way out, but as long as that edge there is good, we're okay. And then you can see on this side, I got a spot where the stone isn't even touching, and you can see right there, but the rest of that Sharpie is gone. So handles on this are really nice. I'm not usually a fan of like G10 and on a fixed blade unless it's really kind of aggressive, but these aren't bad. I'm kind of surprised. I thought they were going to be slippery, especially using water with baking soda in it, and it's not. It's really a good handle on this. They put a lot of work in it, but you can see still some work to do on that tip. But this is cutting really fast. So you can see, if you can see what I'm seeing, there's a lot of steel shavings that are coming to the surface of that water, that are floating on the surface of that water. So let's go ahead. So the nice thing about freehand sharpening is, like I said, I can focus on specific areas of the knife that need more work and then do some long sweeping passes to marry those all in so they're more even and consistent. And yeah, you can see here, this side, we've almost got that tip starting to resemble the tip that it was from the factory. And so now I've got a burr running the full length, full length of the blade. And now I can start focusing. So right now I'm not really focusing on trying to establish that convex I was talking about where I rock it. I mean, I'm doing it because just, it's almost muscle memory at this point to do it that way. So and I'm not counting passes or anything like that. I'm simply doing a reprofile. I can hear when it needs to roll. When it's, I can hear when the, I've done this so many times, I can hear and feel when it's time to flip the knife. When I get up and higher, I may keep track just to keep the tip and everything even once we reestablish it. So I'm simply just, I'm looking at the edge. I'm sorry, guys. So I like to explain what I'm doing, but I'm looking at the edge of the knife under the light. But this stone is cutting very, very fast. It's a lot like my Atoma. It's a very fast cutting coarse diamond. So yeah, you can see there, 1095 is great. It is a great steel for knives. It's really resilient. It holds an edge pretty well. But the fact is, it's not difficult to repair and sharpen, and that's one of the nice things about it. But that tip is almost fixed on this one. So let's put a little bit more water on that. My shoulder's already starting to hurt. And like I said, I told Scab, and since he's here, I'll tell him again, I may not completely remove the low spot on the heel of this, because it is just so low and it's removed so much material. But as long as we're apexing it, which it looks like we almost are, as long as we're apexing the edge, it will still be good. But I know I'm not, because I don't feel a burr when I check it. Was it? Yeah, that 200 diamond whetstone felt not as coarse as the vitrified. It is coarse. It's cutting better than the vitrified diamond. It's cutting faster, I should say. But I don't know how long it's going to hold up. And I apologize, guys. The chat is probably blocking a lot of what you guys are trying to see. I will say the only thing you have to worry about if you do sharpen like this, especially if you use baking soda in your water like I am right now, it does make the stones a little slippery. So just be careful. I've done it so many times I don't even worry about it anymore. Ooh, very coarse burr on that. But we are very close to reestablishing the proper tip on this. Yeah, really close. But like I said, you got to work from side to side. You can't, you can't just work on one side because you know you have damage. You have to remove that material consistently from side to side. If you don't, then you wind up with a lopsided edge, and people are like, well, what's that matter if the angle's off a little bit? Well, a little bit is fine because you can actually establish a bias. If I do a couple extra passes on the finer stones and change the angle from one side to the other, it'll actually cut better right-handed than left-handed. Or I can do it on the other side of the knife and have it so it addresses the cut for a left-handed person. But if you completely get your edge asymmetrical, when you cut into something, it's just going to put extra stress on that edge. So if your edge is supposed to be a V like this, but it's kicked over like this, and you start to cut something, it's just going to pull it over, and it causes undue stress on a very, very fine, thin edge, and it can just actually destroy your edge and cause premature dulling of your knife. Which a lot of times is why knives, when they come in, when I get brand new knives that are mine, I just immediately sharpen them, because most companies have a problem with maintaining the symmetry of the actual edge. Yeah, see, I'm still not forming a burr right there. So when I get enough of the material removed here that it starts forming a burr on this low spot here, I don't have to worry about removing material there. And if you guys are here, of the 44 of you that are here, double tap that screen and drop me a like. Because I was not planning on doing this because my shoulder is jacked up, but I knew I needed to do something, and I didn't feel like filming today. And I was like, well, if I'm not going to film, I may as well watch Charles Bronson movies. And I was like, well, that doesn't benefit me in any way. So almost. Oh yeah, thanks for hitting that up, Aiden. Thank you very much. I try to keep the channel a little bit more family friendly than other people have a tendency to do. I do drop some curse words and F-bombs in the live feeds, but in general, I try to keep it at least PG in the live feeds. My actual recorded videos are definitely G-rated. And if I do curse, I absolutely, geez, look at all that. That is all, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but that is all just metal dust that we've removed on this stone. I need to get another rag. This rag is not good. I'm getting some flooding here. I have to take a pause to clean up, or it's going to come out of the area over here off to the side. But yeah, look at that. That's how much steel was in that. So let's see. So we're coming up on almost being done on this reprofile. It's only going to take us a few more minutes. I like water stones over oil stones because I think that they just have a better feel. I think that they are more aggressive. They cut better, especially like actual true Japanese water stones. Yeah, you can see we're starting to apex that. Now, I'm going to remove, over the course of this sharpening, I'm going to remove some more material, which will get us closer to the original edge. But you can see that low spot's there. The tip is fully done on this side, but this side, there's still some weirdness to it. And I would attribute that to being dropped on its tip, and it rolled the material one direction. more likely it rolled the material that direction, which is why we were able to strip it off on this side, but we still have some work to do on this side. But like I said, you got to maintain that angle. I'm putting a little bit wider bevel on this than there was on it before. And it's going to be a little bit convex, but it's still really thin material on this knife. So I don't have to widen that bevel out very much. So I'm trying to give you guys the best possible view. I apologize. I know that the chat is in the way when you do it vertical like this, but it definitely brings more people to the feed when we do it this way. So like right now there's 81 of you, there's only 19 likes. If you would double tap that screen and drop me a like, because this is gonna wreck my shoulder for the next few days. I have a lot of nerve damage, and sharpening up like this is bad. But I have to do it, and the fact is, no matter, regardless, I was gonna do it anyway because I love sharpening. Let's see, there's a little bit, that's not, I don't think it has anything to do with the swedge, but yeah, I don't know how well you guys can see. Let me see, can I zoom in on this? Let me dry my fingers off so I don't screw everything up. If I zoom in on this, I get you guys to stop shaking. You can see how that tip is a little bit bent from one side to the other. Remember I said it was bent one way from the other? You can see that it's still a little bit shiny on that very tip. It's obviously been dropped on its very tip. So we'll remove that material. We'll get it back to where it needs to be. But yeah, let me zoom you guys back out. There we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, there's a good bit of material of removal that still needs to be done on this side to fix that tip and even it out. It was bent this way. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Like I said, I was going to sharpen this anyway, and I was going to sharpen something today. If I was bored, I would have been watching Charles Bronson movies in here while I was sharpening something. And I'm like, you know what? I may as well just do it as a live. I called Scab, told him I was going to do it. And it's, this is something I enjoy doing when I'm depressed like I am. There's just no way I was going to film anything today, but I definitely was going to do something, and this probably was going to be doing. I was like, well, I may as well do it as a live feed. Hey, Todd's here. What's up, Todd? Now, I can't fix the bend in that tip, but what I can do is I can sharpen around it and repair it just a little bit. And like this is not going to be as anywhere near as difficult as the other knife that was going to. Oh, by the way, Scab, if you're here, hang on a second. I need to check. Don't go anywhere. I got to see if Scab's knife came. He was sending me a knife. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Yep, it arrived. Scab, the mailman was just dropping this off. So Scab, your knife just showed up. So I will probably do that as a live sharpening as well. He sent me a knife he wants me to repair. So I've got a full burr, full length. I've just got a little bit of tip repair to do on this, and then we can switch stones to a less coarse stone and start establishing our edge. So right now we're establishing our angle. Next we're going to start moving up through the grit and get a finer edge. So over time, as I sharpen this, if he sends this back to me or if he sharpens, that small little recurve we have here is going to start to disappear. And you can see it already is. There's always going to be a smile at the heel. There's always going to be a high spot at the heel. But over time, it's going to even this out. If, in all honesty, if I was Scab, I would take a round file and I would just round that out and give it a little notch there, because you have enough edge on something like this. You've got enough edge that a small notch here is not going to hurt it, and it would make sharpening in the future a little bit easier. But I don't think you need to do it now. It's just going to consistently get worse over time, and when it starts to get really bad, then you can just take a file You can mark yourself out an area, or you can take a Dremel on a really low speed and you can mark out an area and form yourself a little choil on that. And it'll make your future life sharpening, but right now it's not horrible. As it gets worse over time, you may want to do that because it's just going to make it harder to get it sharp all the way to the heel. So sometimes just removing the material that's in your way is just an easier option. I do it on Spydercos all the time. As a matter of fact, just to show you an example of what I'm talking about, when I sharpened this one the first time, I cut myself a little choil in it. It allows me to not slam into this hard edge, and it removes material that I know I'm not going to be able to sharpen anyway, because this is what the edge looked like when it first came. This is my military. You can see that little area back there. It's not sharpened. I'm not going to be able to sharpen that. No matter how hard I try, I can't sharpen that because it's not ground. I mean, it will, but it's going to form the same thing that you have here, which is this big, tall smile that actually gets in the way of sharpening. So the first time I sharpen this knife, it's going to get a notch similar to this one. It doesn't affect the cutting. It doesn't affect your sharpened length of the blade because the fact is that spot's not sharp anyway. So that's why a sharpening choil comes in handy, especially if it's something like a Spyderco that has a hard, that really hard end on it where you're slamming into stones. Because I got news for you. Some of the stones that I have are very expensive. I have some stones that cost several $100s, and if you're slamming that hard edge into the corner of it, you're chipping the stone. And you don't want to chip a stone that you paid, you know, $200 or $300 for. So I think do a couple more passes, and I'm going to clean up a little bit so we don't get any grit contamination. And then move to the next stone, which is going to be that 400 grit vitrified diamond. I might hit that heel just a little bit longer. Just see this one, I've almost removed the low spot on this one completely. And then on this side, it's a little deeper, but we definitely have removed the majority of that low spot. You can see it right there. So in the course of the sharpening, in the tip repair and edge establishment, we have trolls in the chat. We have trolls in the chat. Well, the time I sharpened Nico's kitchen knife, I was using a different set of stones. Well, hello, Swags. I didn't even notice that was you. How are you, young lady? How's the baby? By the way, Savannah, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I don't know if you guys shared the video I did about this, but I understand why it won an award. I hounded you guys to send me one, and I was like, screw it. It's less than $100. I'm just buying one. So I bought my own. That way I didn't feel guilty if I screwed it all up. So yeah, we're done on this stone. We're done on this stone. I'm not going to try and remove any more material. The tip repair is done. We've got the full tip over the, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not showing you. I'm not looking at it. The tip is as repaired as I'm going to be able to get it because it's bent. We've established a new edge bevel, and I'm going to move up to the next grit, but I'm going to remove this. So I'm going to tell you why we're going to clean this up. So there's not a lot of the grit that's being removed from this knife, right? There's not a lot of this diamond that is getting removed from the stone, I should say. But there's going to be some of it, and there's going to be some on the knife, and there's going to be some in this water. And so you got to clean it up because you want to keep the grit you're working with as the grit you're working with. And like, I don't know if you guys, there's a lot of material in that water. So you clean off the stone, and any stones you've used, you keep it separate, and then you wipe your blade off really good. Make sure that you've got that, and then you get as much of that water cleaned up as you possibly can. Have I seen the button lock version? No, I have not. But I gotta say, I don't think I would like it as much as the slip joint version. I think it's just about a perfect slip joint, And I think that doing it as a button lock would not appeal to me. It's like when there's large knives that I don't like, but I like the mini version. That happens sometimes. So we're switching to a 400 grit vitrified diamond stone. I'm going to grab a clean rag because I've now filthied this one up. It's okay, I have an entire bin full of rags that my wife has relegated to the sharpening bench. So they're not used for anything else anymore. Plus I have a whole bin of microfiber. So is vitrified similar to resin bonded? No, it is much more similar to this. I mean, it's almost the same as this. It's just way coarse. It is a full actual fired ceramic. It just is the ceramic mud. Can you hear it? It's the ceramic mud with diamond in it. So this is way more akin to, it's like the perfect mix between a ceramic that is really slick, but it's hard and it cuts, and like a bonded, not a bonded, but like an actual water stone, like a aluminum oxide. It's like the perfect mix between the two. And you'll hear the difference in how it, because so this is actually, like a bonded is not permeable. This actually will absorb moisture. You can see it start to soak in, but it is a splash and go. I mean, you could soak them. Like this one is absorbing because it's been really dry around here lately, so you can see it's starting to absorb, but you don't really need to soak them. So I screwed up my direction I usually do it. So the nice thing about these is they cut so fast, and this steel doesn't need a really aggressive. So this is what I was saying when I talked about these stones. So if you're going to go from like aluminum oxide and move to something like diamond and vitrified diamond, you're not going to need to make anywhere near as many passes. I'm going to tell you right now, this removes way more material than you think it is. And so when you are doing that, you can actually over sharpen. And when I say over sharpen, I mean just remove more material than you actually need to. Because I will tell you, I am almost done on this stone. I'm going to give it a couple more passes just to make sure I've removed all of the scratch pattern from the previous stones. Can you hear it squeak? That's something you hear on really hard ceramic stones, is the knife will squeak on the stone. It's almost like rubbing a fork on a plate. And if you know anything about that, you know that's a horrific sound. But look how much material that removed already. And I'm putting zero pressure on this. Sorry guys, I'm just inspecting the edge. I'm looking for specific, I should wipe that off. I should wipe that off. I'm inspecting the edge just to see if I've got any weirdness. You see right here? Now we didn't see this. I don't know how well you guys can see it. I didn't see this when I was sharpening on a much coarser stone. There is a spot. And this is what happens sometimes when you're sharpening. When you go up in grit, you'll find spots that you miss because they're deeper. There is a little spot right there. You guys see that? There's a little spot right there where my stone is not touching, which means there's a little low spot. But because the grit on the last stone was so heavy, the scratch pattern obscured a little shiny spot. When you move up in grit, you're going to see spots you missed like that. The nice thing about this stone is it's super aggressive, and I can just fix it on this. I don't have to go down lower in grit to fix that. And I think a couple passes on this back and forth should just take that out. So now that could have just been a spot of fatigued steel that didn't peel off when I was doing the other side of the other stone. And it's just a spot that that gave up and just peeled off on this stone? I don't know, but I know that after a few passes on this, we'll do a couple just quick burr removals. What knife is this? This is the Blackjack Knives Tack Op series. And it says series. Yeah, okay. So if you look, there is no more shiny spot right there. There's some burr that we're going to remove as we go up in grit. And it is sharp. This is 1095 at 400 grit. It is ridiculous sharp right now. Like right now, just off the stone, just so you guys can see, just off the stone, it is a very aggressive edge. It might rip a little, but I'm going to tell you right now, just off the stone, no burr removal. That's where we're at now. Now we've got to go further up, and I have to do burr removal, which we're going to do a couple real quick burr removal passes on this stone. And to do burr removal on a stone, you can do it this way. If I was finishing on this stone, I may. Or I might. So you do burr removal, you can do it that way, just like a stropping stroke. Now, I am going to put this on a strop, so I don't necessarily need to do that. But I've removed the burr. There is no burr on that now, and it is very sharp. But that's not where we're going to stop. I'm going to rinse the stone off. I'm going to grab the other rag, the original rag. I'm done on this stone, by the way. I'm done on this stone. It was that fast. That's how fast that stone cuts. And typically, after you reprofile, here's the deal. So we set the profile. So after you reprofile, all you're doing is you're not trying to set an angle. You're not trying to set an angle. You've already set your angle. You're following the angle you set on that super coarse, let go, stone here, right? This super coarse stone here. We're not trying to reset that angle. Now, yeah, you can do a little bit on this. I'm going to tell you right now, if he doesn't knock that shit off, I'm going to put a cable across the street. Because it's annoying and it's loud, and he does it every... he does it every day, all day. And I'm like literally tired of it. So, yeah, kind of teaching, Captain Haddock, kind of teaching. So once you've established your angle, you're just going to follow it on your stones as you progress up in grit. So all you're doing is refining that edge. So, I mean, I could stop right now, and this is the second stone. This is literally 2 stones in, and it is very, very sharp. But that's not where we're going to stop, because we're going to take this one, we're going to put it on this. Now, this is an actual ceramic stone. This is a 1000 grit Sharpening Pro sharpening stone. It's not a child. That's the thing, Michael Vincent Jr. It's not a child. It's an adult, and he does it all hours of the day and night, and he keeps us up at night, and I'm fed up with it. So if it was a kid, I would talk to his parents and be like, hey, man, I know he's just a kid. But it's not a kid. It's a grown-ass adult acting like a child. Just don't get me wrong, I'm a very childish person, but I don't like to bother people. So anyway, I flattened this stone 2 days ago because I used it to do some of my wife's kitchen knives, and we're going to see here, this is a really coarse edge. You guys see that's a fairly coarse, it's a 400 grit edge. We're going to refine that down to 1000 grit. It's not going to take long because this is also a very aggressive cutting stone. And then we'll see where we're at. How sharp does it have to be? I'm not sharpening anymore. Like I said, I've progressed into honing. I am now honing this edge. It doesn't get any sharper. It's already razor sharp. It can't get any sharper than it is. All I'm doing now is refining the edge. So the scratch pattern you've got on here is really coarse, and that might not be what you want. 1000 grit is, especially on like 1095, 1000 grit is just about, I'm sorry, my wife is texting me. I'm not ignoring you. 1000 grit is a really good grit to have your knife at because it's not too fine to do work and cut things and do stuff. But it's also not so fine that it doesn't, how do I do this? It's not so fine that it won't cut things. So there's a lot to be said for right about the 1000 grit, but that is a very, very coarse, see, can you see it? It's a really coarse edge. And if it was just something you're just going to cut line and stuff with, that'd be fine. But this is a camp knife. You're not going to just only do that. So we're going to refine the edge. I'm not making it any sharper. I'm just making it a finer edge to do specific tasks a little bit better. A coarse edge is really good for a lot of stuff, but 1000 grit is just about a good medium area, a middle zone, to allow you to do more. So you can hear it sounds way different. This is a much finer stone. And you can go from that 400 to this 1000 pretty easily because, like I said, it cuts really fast. But if you look, it's even the residue on the stone looks different. It looks like a finer material. You see what I'm saying? It is almost like soot as opposed to just steel shavings. So this is gonna be a better all-around edge. And this is an expensive stone. It's not it's an inexpensive stone. Yeah, hey guys, there's 139 people here, but only 39 likes. You guys wanna double tap that screen and drop me a like? I'm not even asking you to drop a super chat. Like, I'm just asking you to do free stuff. If you want to drop a super chat, I wouldn't like turn it down. But so here I'm starting to finish up and knock off the shoulders, because what I didn't explain, and I think I explained it a little bit, when I'm sharpening freehand like this, I'm rocking the knife and the stone, and I'm giving myself a convex edge. So this isn't just a V grind. This edge is gonna follow up and kind of curve over, and you can kind of see the radius to it in the reflection. And what that gets you, it's just a better all-around edge. There's more material behind the edge to support it. There's a lot of benefits to it. They cut better, in my opinion. They last longer because there's more material to support the edge. So now I know it looks like I'm removing a lot of material, but I'm not, because it's a very fine edge I'm putting on this, like a finer edge. So it's just a finer material that I'm removing. So, and I've sharpened like this my whole life, even on small stones, because I grew up on a farm and there was a lot of times like you'd be out in a field and you just didn't have the time to go back to the house to put a knife on a bench stone. So I'm just inspecting my edge. Just making sure that there's not any areas. And there's a couple little areas that there's some of the original grit. You were going from a 400 grit. Yeah, that's a full Shapton 1K. Guys, so if you don't know, I'm all joking aside, like he's like, I forget how massive my hands are. I am 6'3", about 230, and I wear triple XL gloves. So now that we've done, so when you see me doing these short strokes, I'm focusing on specific areas. And so when I'm focusing on these specific areas, there's some little fluctuations in the edge, right? When I get closer to being done, you see me start to do longer sweeping strokes, and all I'm doing is I'm just marrying it all in together. It doesn't functionally change the edge, but it looks better. And that's one of the big things when you're doing something for a customer, which technically I am. I'm sharpening this for Scab. He's paying me to do it. When you do that, it gives you a much more consistent, clean looking edge. And you can see here, now I did not do that. That was not me. But if you look at that edge, look how much finer that edge is now than it was. It's still very aggressive, right? Still very aggressive, but it's much more refined. And it is very sharp. So that's pretty much, we're done on that. One of the things I like to check, you can't see them when you're doing it. I take my thumbnail and I just touch. I drag it down the edge. No pressure, because you don't want to cut your thumbnail. But what I'm feeling for is any areas of that edge that still are not clean. You will feel hitches in it. You can't feel it with your thumb. Like you see people doing this. You can feel sharpness, but you can't feel it. You will feel your thumbnail catch on that. Just light, light pressure. So next step is, we're going to strop this real quick. I think we'll use the balsa wood strop first, just to make sure that any burr that's left, because I did some light burr removal passes on that. We're going to go through it, and we're going to make sure that any burr that's left gets stripped off. This is balsa wood loaded with 9 micron diamond. And I'm just, you'll feel if there's any areas that catch on the balsa wood as well. And we're just doing those final little burr removal passes. And then we're going to grab our piece of paper, and we're going to see what we've done. Sorry. So it is definitely a very, very sharp knife now. So from here, like 1000 grit is typically what I call the beginning of honing. And there wasn't any, I didn't feel any burrs. So that meant that my burr removal passes were good. If you're using one of these, I'm going to tell you right now, not to break the continuity and step in what I was talking about. If you're going to use one of these ceramics like this, if you're going to use one of these ceramics, the Sharpening Pros, you definitely want to remove the material. Like they even warn you, you want to wipe this down really good just with the pad of your hand to strip out any of that material. You don't want to leave it in the stone. They definitely tell you not to leave black residue on the stone and not to soak them. Now I'm going to have to rinse this really good because there is baking soda in the water, and this is a very porous stone. It does still absorb water. So when we get done from here, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go rinse it. I'm going to go put it in the sink. I'm going to put it in the sink to rinse. Actually, I'll do it right now. I just wanted to rinse that before it dried on the surface. I'm going to soak this for a couple minutes in fresh water. But yeah, there's, I forget what I was talking about. Oh, you can do burr removal a bunch of different ways, right? There's a lot of ways to do it, but this is a really good clean edge on this. Now, there's a big difference in some of these stones. Like I said, this is a loosely bound ceramic. This is a stone that will absorb water. You can actually soak them for up to 6 minutes. You can see it starting to soak in the fresh water I just rinsed it with. And I'm going to leave that exposed to the air and not put it in its case. This is also going to absorb some moisture and allow it in its porous stone, but this is ceramic. This is a fired true fine ceramic. This is the material that's in your china and things like that. It's almost translucent. You can see light through it. This does not absorb any water, and I don't even add fluid to it. I don't lubricate it. I do this one dry. This is a dry stone. So there's a lot of difference between a lot of the different stones. And the other thing you have to consider is there are, like, I clean this up really good so I don't have to worry about it. This is an oil stone. There's a lot of stones that you use oil as that, and you can't mix the two. Like, I clean this up really good to remove any oil that's on it because it doesn't permeate, it doesn't absorb, it doesn't soak up oil. It just sits on the surface. This has to be cleaned up because if you get oil on this, well, you may as well throw it away. It's pretty much ruined. If you get it on one of these other, this is a 10,000 grit. This is a 10,000 grit stone that needs to be resurfaced. If you get oil on one of these, this is a bonded aluminum oxide. This is a Naniwa Superstone that is 10,000 grit. I don't recommend them anymore. I don't find them to be the quality that they used to be. They are still really good for straight razors, but they get chalky and they have a tendency to crack. And I can show you that on this, which is a really nice stone that I had, but now it's cracked. These have a tendency to want to bow, and this is why they stopped putting them on the flat bottom. But there's a crack right here, and that's because they put them on here, and it tries to bow when it dries, and it absolutely tries to bend, because this actually has a bend from down the, let me see, can you guys see it? It has a bend in the middle, and it's just over time. When you wet them and then they dry, and you wet them and they dry, they curl, and they try to curl, but they're glued to this base and they crack. And every one of them that I've had that is on this base cracked. Every one of them. I have that one. You can see here is a 5,000 grit. That other one was an 8,000. This one has spiderweb cracks on it as well. You can see where it's cracked here. And the problem is, if you're using this, the other thing is they chalk up, like they start to come apart and come unbound. If you hit one of these cracks, like there's one here, small, it actually, it causes problems in your edge, so you can't use them. Do I have a Discord? Yes. In the link to this video, there's a spot that says, in the description of this video, it should say join the Discord or join the community. I don't have a Discord. I have a Guilded server, public Guilded server. But yeah, let's go ahead. Since we did that, I'm going to show you how to sharpen a Wharncliffe. Only because I want to take the edge. No, this isn't the one. This isn't the one. It's Aiden's knife. Aiden's knife needs that because I have to send it to Alex, and I don't want it to send to Alex with a problem in the edge because I have managed to F up the edge on his knife a little bit. So Wharncliffes are nice because they're easy. Wharncliffes, sheep's foot, they're easy. They're cake. So this is the Chad, and it's not rust. And if it is, it's not my fault. I don't think it's rust. There's a little bit of a hiccup in the tip of this because I tried to put the different pocket clip on this, and the pocket clip screw was too long, and I nicked the tip on the stone. So we are just simply going to do it on this. And then I'll send it to Alex with a very, very aggressive 400 grit edge. So that needs a little bit of tip fix and repair. So Wharncliffes and sheep's foot are easy. They're nice because you don't have to worry about adjusting for a tip. They just simply are a straight cut. You just put it on the stone and just make sure that you're following the full length of the edge. You don't want to lift. You don't want to do that because then you scrub. Does Zero Foxtrot still sell that mat? I do not know. It was a gift. The mat was a gift. I get a lot of Zero Foxtrot stuff from one of my paying members. He loves Zero Foxtrot. And so I'm typically the recipient of many Christmas, birthday gifts and things like that that come from Zero Foxtrot. A lot of the goofy t-shirts you see me wearing. This came from Zero Foxtrot. Stay Zero. It's a Goonies. He knows the Goonies is one of my favorite movies. As a matter of fact, my dog's name is Chunk. So that should indicate. Oh no, it's stuck. The problem with Zero Foxtrot is sometimes they make something, and they sell something, and then it sells out, and then you never see it again. Oh, this is the thing about this. I'm going to tell you, I am going to have to do something about this glass plate that's on the bottom of this stone, because when you put it on something like that, it like have you ever heard ringing? Like when you do the ringing for like gauge blocks, they'll stick together and it's almost like a vacuum. It does the same thing on this mat. I'm going to have to put some rubber feet on this, or take a diamond scribe and cut some reliefs so that it doesn't vacuum itself down, because it is extremely annoying when you set it down and then you have to fight with it to pick it up. I'm not a fan of glass bases on stones anyway. The nice thing about a base on a stone is a lot of times it will protect the stone from impact. And if you put a glass base on a stone and you drop it, you've got no protection. So I'm gonna have to figure something out to prevent that thing from ringing itself to the plate. There's also a bit of a hiccup, like a misgrind almost in this. Can you see? Primary grind, and then my edge, there's like a shiny spot where that... Low country! I don't like that stuff. It breaks down. As a matter of fact, I'll show you why I don't like it, and I'm not going to put it on any of my stones ever again because I did exactly what you told me. This is what happens. It breaks down, and you get this in your drawer, and it came apart. I just got it off of that stone. That's my problem with it, and it definitely... Thank you very much, a Low Country Hillbilly. It's almost like there's a bend in the tip of this. I noticed it when I sharpened it after I used it the first time, and then I used it some more, and I was like, huh. So that's the problem with those shelf liner things. Like they break down over time. I do this with the garage door open, and people are watching me, and they're like, what the fuck is that guy doing? Oh, see, I dropped an F-bomb. It's just easier for me to get a couple rubber feet, because all I want to do is just be able to set it down and then pick it up. And the rubber feet will come in handy. The only problem I have with, well, I don't know. Let's see. Now, I'll tell you one thing I would never do with this stone. Never do a... I would never do a straight razor. It's too aggressive. It's way too aggressive. Diamond plates, none of that. I don't even start on a... I start on a straight razor at 1,000 grit. Yeah, you can see that there's a low spot. See where my edge is, and then there's like a shiny spot behind it? I'm sorry I'm bumping stuff, but I'm trying to... Thank you, Todd Carr. Thank you very much. Charles Manson? I don't know. Charles Manson was crazy. Why are you asking me? Like, I don't have anything to do. I have no input on that. Ask somebody that's a clinical psychologist. I'm actually going down to the coarse stone because I'm reprofiling that very tip on this. I'm not happy with the edge. I don't want to send this off to Alex at Outdoors 55 and have him think I don't know how to sharpen a knife. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be like, hey, Mike doesn't know what he's doing, and he's talked about me nicely a lot of times. So I don't want to send this over to Alex Garland with a shitty edge. So I'm basically just going to reprofile that entire tip and edge. My neighbor is our landscaper, and he hurt himself today. And I went out to talk to him about, like, hey, I just put down grass seed. Could you not mow in this specific area? And his hand is just bleeding. And I was like, are you okay? I was like, are you okay, bud? Are you okay, sir? You know, he's like, oh, I'm going to the emergency room after this. He just got back. I hope he's okay. It looked rough. Yeah, there we go. Now the edge is even and consistent all the way across. Oh, Scab is home from work today because of the spinny blowy thing. I was like, are you at work, or did they send you home because they were afraid of a scene from Alice in Wonderland? Which I know was a tornado. So yeah, I think we're good. We'll go ahead and do this. How long have we been doing this? Just a little over an hour. Slow an hour. I will, when we get done with this, I'll turn this all back around and we can talk about a bunch of stuff if you got questions about sharpening. I do not mind answering questions about sharpening if you have them. Nothing I do is a secret. There are some people like, oh, I'm not going to teach you how I do something. Well, I got news for you. I taught myself how to do it, and if you took the time, you could teach yourself how to do it. So there's nothing I'm going to do that is going to... There's no... I'm not losing anything by telling you how to do something. That happened in the military a lot. I am not going to lie. That's one of the things I hated about the military the most, was that, oh, I'm not going to tell you how to do something because that makes me more important than you. Like, I'm not going to teach you what I know. And I'm like, I never believed in that. I always believed in like passing that knowledge on, because if you leave, if something happens to you tomorrow and you're the only one that knows how to do something, you just screwed everybody you work with. It's just not fair. I tried to teach the guys everything I knew, and I always tried to teach myself new things, so I was always studying. So, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot what I was doing here. I'm using water, yes, and I'm actually using water with baking soda in it, just a little bit. In this entire thing, there is like a quarter teaspoon, if that, of baking soda, just to lower the pH, to keep the knife from rusting and the stone from rusting. So I'm just doing some burr removal on this ultra-fine ceramic, just really lightly. Not changing the aggressiveness of the edge. I'm simply just refining it ever so slightly at the very apex, and then a final pass on this loaded felt. And that is aggressive. That is a crispy, crispy edge. Woohoo! That is sharp. That is sharp. And now that's a consistent edge all the way to the tip. I mean, I don't think Alex would have judged me on it. Like, he would have been like, well, factory edges suck sometimes. But I don't want to send it off to a channel as large as his and have him question my sharpening ability. So let me clean this up just a little bit, and we'll turn this around. And if you've got some questions, I'll be better able to answer them when I'm facing the camera. So let me move some of this. And rinse these real quick. These are going to get a good clean before they get put away, because I don't want rust to form on these. So I'm just going to rinse these off and grab my little tripod and talk to you guys. I'm probably going to flatten this stone after we go. I flattened a stone in the last video. I'm not going to do that this time. It just seems a little bit like doing too. Oh, hey, we filled this corner up here almost completely. There was water about ready to spill over. So that's the nice thing about this mat that I got, is it acts like a water dam. So I don't have to worry about like just sharpening on the glass that's underneath it, and it just runs off. It gives me a little ability to have. There we go. All right, guys, hold tight real quick. Real quick, I'm gonna go rinse these stones off so that I can put them away, and I'll be right back. I'm not going far, I'm just going in the house to the kitchen. So, watch out, dog. All right, I'm back. I'm grabbing the little tripod. I'm gonna put you guys on the workbench so I can ask any questions, answer any questions that you guys might have. That is filthy. That is a filthy, filthy rag. Threw it in the trash by accident. Let me grab that. Grab that. And hopefully the audio was good for the full run of the video. Let me grab this other tripod here. Trying to get everything put together, because I do want to kind of, if you've got any questions, I can't find my hat. That's going to be problematic. I do like having you guys here, so it's always cool, and we can talk about anything. That's what the hell? I literally just took it off. This happened earlier. The live feed was going to be earlier today, and then I managed to misplace the adapter for my microphone. And I'm like, well, I don't have a way to do it. Oh, well, hell. There it is. I found it. I found it. So you guys are going to lose audio for a second. Bring this around. So you guys can see the studio is a mess. It's literally a mess. There's so much stuff here. Scab's knife just showed up. All this stuff is here. It's just a mess. I had set up to start cleaning it. I had set up to start cleaning the studio day before yesterday, and I just didn't finish. I got started and I didn't finish. I'm going to... Is there more than one way to drag the knife on the stone? Kind of. Hang on a second. Let me get... there we go. Ouch. I gotta get the gooseneck moved. so that I can disconnect the cables here and reroute you to the through the audio. I'm trying to get my microphone connected. I apologize. You're gonna get some crappy audio for a little bit, but I have to connect this all up. Let's see here. Let's see here. I got it. There we go. You guys should have better audio. You can hear me fine now. How's the audio now? Because typically, support your local loggers day. Typically, when you sharpen, there's a couple ways to do it. Now, you can. I've seen people that only do edge trailing strokes. You don't like the creepy chicken? My little buddy, he's been on my workbench forever. I love this little guy. Towards the edge or away. Yeah, so I've seen people that do it this way, from tip to heel, just like you do on a strop, the entire way. I have a sinful lifestyle. I don't know, I've been married to the same woman since 2001. I got a kid that is basically a prodigy, graduated early and started school. I don't think I'm living a sinful life. I think I'm doing all right. You didn't have to take that down. I was going to respond to it, Todd. I didn't take your comment down. I didn't. My moderators did. If you're going this way, and I'll explain why. All right. Well, here's the thing. This is the thing. I don't like politics and I don't like religion on the channel. So don't put politics and don't put religion on, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to start a fight, that's the best fucking way to do it. And I don't want people fighting. So at any rate, sharpening this way, you are establishing your abrasive is going this way across the edge, which is absolutely, it's beautiful. It's great to do it that way. There is something to be said for going tip to heel. You're still getting that same micro serrations that are doing the cutting. You're getting the same thing, just approaching it a different way. But there is a good reason to do it that way. And that is, what's up, Ronnie Pickering? There is, I already warned everybody. So at any rate, if you're going this way, right, into the stone, going this way, you are, you're slamming into the abrasives, right? You're slamming into the abrasives, and it can cause a little bit of problems with the edge at the apex, but you're gonna resolve that when you do your stropping and you do your burr removal passes and things like that. If you're going this way, you're not banging into the abrasives. Like, the abrasives are sitting up there. And if you're going this way, you're not slamming the actual apex in. But the fact is, the only thing you're slamming into it is the burr, really, because you get up to the finer grits, it's not going to matter. There are reasons to do it. Straight razors, my last few passes are stropping strokes on the razor to maintain that grit and everything. But I'm being distracted by the chat. There's some trolls in the chat. It just maintains your edge a little bit better. It gives you a finer burr that's easier to remove. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a finer burr that's easier to remove. So the edge on this is really good now. It's still aggressive. That's push cutting in. This is new. This is not like magazine paper. That's phone book paper. More accurately, it's the voter's guide. I got another one. I was really happy. I was like, oh man, I've almost used all of it, and I was saving Adam Schiff to cut out for last because I don't like Adam Schiff. And then they sent me another general election voter's guide. And I'm like, it's a thick one. Lots of pages for me to cut. So I just don't like Adam Schiff. That's not a political thing. I just don't like Adam Schiff personally. Yeah, so I do both. If you were watching the way I was sharp, and there's 114 of you here, there's only 57 likes. If you bang that screen twice, it drops a like. So what happens is, the way I do it, I go down and then I go back. So I'm doing both. So I'm doing a cutting stroke and a stropping stroke. Not only am I doubling my effort, so every pass is like 2, and I'm removing more material, I'm also giving myself that stropping stroke. If you watch, I don't know if you can see it because I go pretty fast, but on my pass, my last stroke is always going backwards. And I taught myself that, and it's almost muscle memory at this point. Sometimes I'll stop on a final, unless I'm doing like final passes like that. 9 times out of 10, my final pass on the stone is going backwards. And then I can go to the next stone, and I always remember which side I finished with. I always start pulling 2, and I always end pushing away. That way I always know where I'm going to start and where I'm going to be on the burr, right? There we go. I can moderate some of this stuff permanently. So it just gives you it doubles your efforts. It gives you a better end result, and it gives you a really good fine edge. Like, this is very, very sharp now. And if you look, we removed the majority of that low spot. I wanted to show you guys that. So that's it's almost gone. And literally in an hour, we repaired a tip. We fixed a mid-blade low spot, possibly some fatigue steel, and we almost completely removed that. Here, I'll turn it around so you can see it better. We almost completely removed the low spot. If you remember, it was low. There was not just a spot here. It was low. It was like recurved. Now that edge is almost straight. So you can see we've apexed it, but it still has a little bit of a low spot. Over consecutive sharpenings, that's going to disappear. I did an entire series of sharpening videos, like in-depth tutorials. Not just this. I did in-depth tutorials, walked step by step, that's available for my paying members. I still do stuff like this, but I also have like a full-on like grip progression video. I have reprofiling. I have how to sharpen this. I have how to sharpen a tonto. I have how to sharpen a recurve. In-depth sharpening tutorial video. Spitfire! What's up, buddy? So I'm live again because the fact is, 5 memberships. So there you go. Any of you guys if you go to my channel and go to the actual channel, you'll see a spot that says that's in the members area, and it will all show up as members only videos. There's sharpening tutorials. I think there's 5 or 6 of them. So handful of you guys just got gifted memberships. Take advantage of that. So there's a lot of different things, and then you have to consider different steels, stuff like that. Like, what am I going to use? Like, I have everything I would need to sharpen pretty much anything. Well, you now have a membership, and if you decide to keep that membership, Brandon, you were gifted a membership. So I can see, if you look on the end, anybody that has that little logo. As a matter of fact, if anybody is watching, I just did a giveaway that no one has responded to. And I'm going to tell you how this works right now. This may be the last giveaway I do for the members. And this isn't like I'm not trying to admonish guys, but to take time out to do a day where the only thing I'm doing is setting things up and doing a giveaway. Tomorrow, if the person that claimed that won these knives doesn't claim them by tomorrow at noon, these go back in my collection. I will do one more giveaway announcement after that. It wasn't you. I already did the giveaway. The video is up. I have one more giveaway that I'm planning on doing, titanium pyrite and this. And if no one, I already picked people. That's the thing. If nobody responds when I do that giveaway, they go back in my collection, because I can use them for videos and stuff. So it's frustrating when you put work into something like that. It really is, when you put work into something like that, and then no one even watches. Like, I did the full video and things like that. So, I got news for you. That's what I was saying. I'll keep them. They're great knives. Both of them. One of those knives, $350 knife. I was trying to give away to the paying members. But yeah, Scab, if you're watching, still, that thing is great. You know what I'll do? Let's open up the box. Scab sent a knife for me to sharpen and then ship off to someone else. I'm going to do a video about it. I'll probably do it like this. I'll do it live. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what manner of monstrosity he sent me. He has sent me some incredibly beastly knives. So let's see. I can't remember what it was he sent me that's in here. This is absolutely one of my favorite knives. It really is one of my favorite knives. And I didn't think I would like it that much. It is the Mini Nightshade by Bastide. Oh, almost dropped it. Oh yeah, basically Scab sends me things that really aren't knives. They're basically short swords. So this is what Scab sent me. This is what you're gonna see me sharpen here. I don't know how we're gonna film me sharpening this because this, oh my God, it's a recurve. Well, that's gonna be fun. You know why? Because I sharpen recurves on these. That's going to be an interesting video for you guys. Thanks, Scab. I didn't think I was, I didn't know what I was signing up for. That is, that's going to be a fun one. It's not dull. This is, I forget what one he said this is. This is a great big giant recurve. Scab sends me stuff that's, these aren't knives. This is a sword. I have done knives like that so many times. I cut myself. I've done it enough times. I'm going to be fine. I have enough offset. You just got to go slow and gentle. Pay attention to what you're doing. If you guys want to find it, I don't know where it's at on my feed, but I did a fillet knife for a buddy of mine. And I stuck it all the way through my hand and then wrapped it up and went right back to sharpening. I literally have a scar. The knife went in. Where are we at here? Knife went in there. Came out on the backside over here. I went all the way through the meaty part of my hand. I cleaned it up. Wiped it off. Bandaged it up. And went right back to sharpening. And my buddy was like, "What the fuck did you do?" I was like, "Oh, I just cut myself." I was going to say this doesn't feel like it's too dull, Scab, but it definitely can use a touch up. No, Tino was with me. My buddy Tino was with me. Yeah, I stuck his fillet knife that he made all the way through my hand. I'm not sharpening this yet though. It's going to be a little bit because this just made me smile because I want to break some stuff. Yeah, my pain tolerance is insane. I actually have. I've been told because I've had teeth pulled because I'm allergic to numbing agents. I'm allergic to numbing agents, so any of the sodium pathway blockers. So if I get dental work done, if they don't have gas, I white knuckle it. I've had a root canal. I've had 2 teeth pulled in the past few years. I recently had that one pulled. I broke a tooth off, and they just couldn't do anything with it. And they were like, "Well, we're gonna have to pull it." And I was like, "Well, let's just do it." And they're like, "Well, we can't numb you." I have an insane pain tolerance. It has something to do with, like, they said it's like Irish and red, like red hair, and you can see I'm a ginger. I'm Irish enough that, like, with that, but there's anesthetics don't work as well on me. Numbing agents I can't have at all. But God was kind enough to give me a crazy pain tolerance. I ran on a broken leg for about 3 days. I broke one of the bones in my lower leg. I can't remember if it's tibia, fibia, whichever the two are. It was the skinnier one. I broke it. I didn't know I broke it. I was running, and I ran a day. I was like, "Man, that really hurts. My leg hurts when I run." And I got up the next day and I ran on it, and I was like, "Wow, really?" I woke up the third day. It was all swollen up, and I went in, and the doctor did X-rays, and he goes, when did it start bothering you? I was like 2 days ago, but I ran on it. And he was like, you broke your leg. You have a broken fibia, the thin one on the thin one of your lower calf area. And he goes, you've got a broken leg. I was like, well, I mean, it hurt, but I wanted to run because I loved to run at the time. Yeah, that's a pain tolerance. Because when something hurts, that's why I'm worried about my shoulder. When I reach the point that something hurts, typically we've reached a point where there's something wrong. Like you're like, we may need to get that checked. I'm starting to have problems with a lot of problems with my shoulder. Leatherman Surge. I'm not a fan of the Leathermans. I am not a fan of the Leathermans, but I will. You guys have to see something that my buddy got me for my birthday. You have to see what my buddy got me for my birthday. Now, I did a video, and if you're just joining, the sharpening part is over. You can skip back to it. I did a video a few years ago of, wow, I got 40 subscribers on this. I did a video here a few years ago about movie knives. And it was a pretty good video, but it wasn't all that popular. It wound up getting demonetized because I used music from the movies. The knives that were in that video all came from my buddy Tino. He got me, I mean, it's not something I would use, but we both agreed that having a collection of those movie knife replicas would be cool. And so he has started getting us these movie replica knives. This looks just like the Lyle that was in the movie. It looks absolutely like the Lyle that was in the movie, and I'm absolutely cool with it. It's not something I would ever use. It is in, when I asked him what the steel was, he was like, stainless. I was like, and he goes, I have nothing else. Stainless. And this is just it's a movie collectible. It's not something I'm ever going to use. It does have all the features that you saw in the movies. You've got your kit that's in here, and you've got a compass. But the problem with this one is this is a steel butt cap, and so the compass only points one direction. So if you're relying on this, north, 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 it doesn't work because it's in a steel cap. But I don't care because it's cool. And how many knives do I have, Miss Muddick? I could not tell you. Like we discussed this the other day. Hundreds at this point, hundreds of knives. I don't have room for all of them. I have a storage container, like a storage unit on base that has a couple boxes of knives that aren't even here. I have a storage room that has a box of knives. I have a shelf in the downstairs half bath that has a milk crate full of fixed blades and stuff that were mine when I was a kid. I have shelves and shelves and shelves. Let me see if I can do this. Tell me if the audio changes when I do this. But I have this entire set of shelves is mostly knives. Those are all knife rolls. That is an entire milk crate full of fixed blades. I have knife cases laying around. And I got knives that are out on loan. So and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I have not bought very many knives in the last few years because I was working construction. I quit working construction when they said I couldn't do it. They said I couldn't do it because of COVID. My doctor was like, well, you're working with a bunch of people that just got released from prison, and I have an autoimmune disorder that I take immunosuppressors for, and he was adamant that I wasn't working. I stopped because my body started hurting, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't go back to doing construction. And I just took the channel and I went full bore with the channel, and it was working out. But then if you guys remember, all the YouTube creators were talking about at the end of last year, beginning of this year, our revenue dropped off 50%. And then 2 months later, it dropped off 50% again. And it reached a point where like the channel just wasn't paying bills. And so, when I went back to working, we were really happy. And then I basically, like, I forget where I was going because I got a chat here because there's weird trolls in the chat. I wasn't buying knives. I went back to working. I bought a couple knives, but most of these knives came from, they were donated to the channel by people, or they were from companies. Like this one that I carry is a KATSU that they sent me that I carry a lot. This actually, I took it out of my pocket for sharpening because I didn't want it slamming into the to the workbench. I bought this one. This was basically the, no, that's not true. These were the last two knives that I purchased, and I'm really happy with both of them. These are absolutely great. But there's just so many knives out there, and there's so many companies that have been kind enough to send stuff. And people are like, well, if they send you stuff, you can't be subjective. You've got, I think a box of knives just is showing up right now. Watch your head, bud. Watch your head, bud. I'm pretty sure that this is a box of knives that Jared sent me for the channel. So most of the stuff you see on the channel is only here temporarily. Jared has been awesome about, thank you very much, sir. All right, yep. Speak of the devil, ladies and gentlemen, a box of knives just showed up from Jared Neves for content on the channel. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. There's a lot of YouTubers, like Scab sends me knives. I've sent Scab knives. This is one of those communities where that happens. But what about the box of knives that I sent you? Actually, I was going to call you. I was going to call you because we moved a lot of stuff around out here. My buddy Nick stayed here for a few weeks, and we moved a bunch of stuff around out here. Because originally he was sleeping on a cot out here in the garage. Then it got hotter and he started sleeping on the couch. We organized and moved some stuff so it was a little bit more manageable for two people to hang out here and watch movies and stuff. And your box got misplaced, and it's actually right here. I found it. Can you see all the dog hair that is stuck to it? Because it wound up back in a corner behind some stuff that never gets vacuumed. Everything behind the green screen does not exist. So it was back behind the love seat because it got put on top of the love seat and fell back behind. And I found it when I was moving some stuff. I haven't even opened it yet. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I also have your where'd it go? Your cold steel black Talon is here on one of these shelves. I know it was here, and I was going to send it back to you when I sent everything else. And now I'm like, where did I put it now? It's here. It's here. It's on one of these shelves. So in this box is the worst knife I have ever received. And then I got a different version of it, which ostensibly could have been one of the best large fixed blade knives I've ever received. And it's the same knife, just done by different people. And unfortunately, there's not much chance that what's in this box and what's in the other box will ever... This is the other reason I'm not filming today. I got Freedom at Mach 2 going overhead. The F-35s, they're running practice runs and teaching the Joint Strike Fighter pilots. Oh no, you can't. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the worst knife I've ever received from a company. For the price. It is the original version of what wound up being an incredible knife. It wound up being a great knife. Once an actual knife maker, hang on. You guys want to see it? I don't even want to look at it right now, to tell you the truth, but so no one's ever going to get a good version of this knife because the knife maker that was fixing it, well, basically the owner of the company. You know what? Spitfire. Are you going to do a video about? Are you going to do like a video about what happened, and address? Oh, I forgot. Oh, I forgot. Like, I almost threw up in my mouth. I almost threw up in my own mouth just now. There's another box in there. I almost threw this over my shoulder in disgust, like, ugh. And then I remembered that you said there was something else in the box. Oh my God, I just hurt myself. This is... Nothing was soft. Everything was sharp. The handles are all fucked up. They're not even matching. The edge was inconsistent. It was in... Now, keep in mind, just Spitfire. Spitfire, Josiah never received this knife. It didn't come to him. This came directly from the maker to me. You see that sheath? I didn't get donut frosting on it. I don't know what that is. This looks like it rode around in the back of somebody's Buick. The sheath. Looks like it rode around in the back of someone's Buick for about 3 months. And then it looks like an 8-year-old made this in, or well, an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, maybe 16-year-old made this in shop class. Look at how sharp all those corners and everything are. Those handles, garbage, sharp edges. See all that? Look at that. Oh, I got you, bro. Brandon, I got you. It's already under my arm to come out of its sheath. Clean, just everything softened, but still usable. Actually got a good, decent edge on it. Nice finish. That doesn't look like somebody tried to do. But look, okay, look at that. Look at that fuller. Look at that fuller. That's a fuller. That's a... I don't know what the fuck that is. You can't grab a hold of this anywhere because like everything is just a sharp edge. It looks like this just came out of the blowout. So these were laser cut and they came out of the blowout and just knocked them out, and then he put handles on them and sharpened it. Like that's all this is. This was softened and worked on, good, decent heat treat on this. Finish on this is just amazing. This, well, it's a pile of something. I don't want to get this live feed demonetized. Speaking of which, this will probably be demonetized anyway. If you guys, because we've been here for a while, we've been here. I typically don't like to do it till the end. If you guys are enjoying this, please follow the channel. Please subscribe. Oh, I'm not putting that in that good. I'm not putting this in that good sheath. This is. Look, you can still see the lines on the leather, and then like a crappy. Let me see. Where's it at? Do I have it here still? Oh yeah, and you're gonna blow out the side of this. Do I have it here still? No, I took it back to my buddy Tino. This is what you would expect on a United cutlery knife. I want to wash my hands. I feel dirty. Now, I may try to fix some of those issues for Josiah, but he wanted the guy that made it to fix it. And I reached out to him, and his dealings with the company were so bad that he had to sell everything, including his house. Like his dealings with the company to make that knife were so bad that it bankrupted him. And I'm going to do a video about it. My wife is home. So, my wife just pulled up. I don't think I'm going to connect to the Bluetooth in her car, but just in case, I am putting a little bit of blade wax on this because I don't have any Vaseline down here. Vaseline, I like Vaseline. Actually, I think that I've gotten to where I like Vaseline better than some of these blade waxes. Some of these blade waxes are almost too thin. They have a tendency to like wipe off too easily. But because this is 1095 steel, I am putting a quick coat of, ooh, stopped it before it got too bad. She's sharp there. She's sharp there, Scabby. Scabber, she tried to bite me. Do you see it? A little line. I could feel it start to bite, and I'm like, ooh, she's Sharpie. So, yeah, I'm just putting a quick coat of blade wax on this and put it back in its sheath now that it's done. As soon as I remember where I put the sheath. I'm pretty sure that on top of the fact I have CTE from so many concussions, that I could possibly be starting to exhibit Alzheimer's. I can't find anything ever. So yeah, put that back in its sheath. Oh, hang on. I got you. Hang on a second, guys. My wife's carrying a bunch of heavy groceries in, and I figure watching her struggle, I'm just back up, conehead. Chunk in. Sorry about that, guys. The dog is wearing a cone. The dog's wearing his cone because he's got a hot spot and he keeps licking. And I've been calling him Conehead, and my daughter was like, that's not nice. I'm like, he can't tell. He can tell I'm saying it in a sweet voice. I could call him, oh, come here, you little shithead. Oh, come here. He doesn't know. He doesn't speak English. So, question and answer time. We got like 20 minutes. I'll keep this. I like to do these for 2 hours. Hey, I just stumbled on your account. Do you have any opinions on Kershaw knives? Yeah, don't buy one. I mean, you can. They're not. There's definitely worse knives out there. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan of Kershaw. I think that they're. I don't like ZT either, though. So that's just saying. I don't like. That's how my dad used to talk to me. I was telling my sister. Do you guys want to hear a story about my dad? So my dad passed a few years ago, and we were talking about. Because we both have therapy, and it's not because our parents were bad parents. It's just, life, So we're both in therapy, and she was telling her therapist a story that our dad told us, and it was like, "Can you see me?" Comments. Yes, Mrs. Mud Duck. What did you ask? You subbed today. Cool. I see him, but I don't see anything that would be a question. I can. Todd Rexford ZT. I had an actual Todd Rexford. I had a Todd Rexford for like 15 minutes. I bought it for $2,000 and immediately turned around and sold it for $12K. So I have a question. Should I put Vaseline on my Strider switchblade? No. Well, is it an out the side? On the out the side, you can get away with it. On an out the side, you're fine. If it's an out the front, no. Don't put anything that heavy on an OTF. If you're going to put anything on an OTF, that does not go there. That's not my knife. If you're going to put anything on an OTF, this is the only thing I recommend. If you're going to put anything on a out the front, words are hard. I look like I should be having problems speaking English. I look like I should be working under a truck at a truck stop. Like, well, here's the problem. I got to get the parts in from up in Tennessee. They got to overnight them to us. So I can't fix it today. I'm gonna have to put it up on a lift tomorrow. I know that's what I look like. KP Ultralight. KP Ultralight is about the best thing. Hey y'all, you ever rub your eyes real hard? That's what we do. We don't have money for fireworks on 4th of July. We just sit there and rub our eyes real hard in the dark room. Jesus Christ. I have Kershaw. I don't like Kershaw. I think Kershaw are just garbage knives. On an OTF, yeah. You want something really fine on an OTF. If you're just no, I don't have anything for Midway USA. I've tried to apply to their affiliate program, and they have never, ever responded back. They've never responded back. Because there are so many things that I would recommend. Like, if you guys are buying ammo on Midway USA, fucking use my affiliate link. That would be great. Unfortunately, have some rusty knives. Is vinegar the best thing to remove it? And should I dilute it with water? I don't think you should do it at all with vinegar. A little bit of rust is not a problem. There is some options. I don't recommend using vinegar because what's going to happen is you're going to strip all the patina off. Yeah, I know they do sponsorships for like Banana Ballistics and stuff like that. They don't do affiliates very much. You really gotta work hard to get an affiliate. So if you have knives that have a little rust on them, Let me case in point here. This is a knife that my father made. There's some rust on it. I need to rehandle it. This is an old Green River knife kit, and it's not showing clearly on here, but there is some rust on that. You see a little bit of surface rust? Now, it's underneath the oil that's on here. I'm not going to try and remove that. There's a reason. It's not going to rust any worse than it already is. Right? It's not going to rust any worse than it is. But if this knife had any value, which it has value to me, it was my dad's, and that was a little knife kit my dad made. I helped him make them when I was a kid. These came in. This, I wouldn't remove the rust. If you really think you need to, nothing more coarse than double-aught steel wool and maybe one of these. Where are you going, Mrs. Mutta? I'm sorry, did I miss your comments? So I have to go. We'll check out more videos. I'm interested in the sharpening. I've got like 3,000 videos on this channel, guys. If you have not followed this channel before, I've got like 3,000 videos. Some of them are sharpening. A lot of them are knife review, just looking at knives, my opinions on knives. Please don't be one of those folks that comes in and is like, well, everything you said is wrong. And I was like, how can my opinions be wrong? Like, you're going in like this. And one guy was like, because I talk about like how shitty the Rat 1 is. And I had somebody go into the comments and he was like, he goes, everything you said is wrong. And you took the knife apart, you stripped the screws, you put a shitty Home Depot coating on it. I was like, first of all, slow down. Everything I said about this knife was based on opinion. He's like, $60, they never cost $60. And I'm like, listen, when I bought this knife, I saw ones of these that were $60. The knife came, he was like, off center because you took it apart and stripped the screws. I was like, first of all, screws were stripped when it came. Second of all, it was off center when it came. And third of all, I was a professional knife maker, and that is a professionally electrically applied, baked on, completely impregnable, baked on true ceramic finish. I refinished knives for knife makers. So like, if you get upset by my opinion on a video, just remember it's my opinion. And if you don't like my opinion, well, that sucks. I'm sorry. What was the deleted message, Todd Carr? Question, what do you think of those ceramic V-shaped table sharpeners, those carbide? No, don't do that. Don't ever, Brandon, don't ever use a pull-through. Get a stone. Get a stone. Don't ever, ever use a pull-through. Ever. You shouldn't ever do that. They're like the worst thing for a knife. They are. They're absolutely the worst thing for a knife. And don't use, if you have kitchen knives, don't use the steel that's on in your kitchen block. No, I'm not going to open any other knife in the box. I've had enough disappointment for a day, thank you. I'll look at it later. I would recommend, though, there are the tumbler, which is one that you can roll back and forth. That gets you closer to what you do on a stone. Thanks, I hate it. I'm okay. Sharpen's best, he's a scammer. Yeah, it's a piece of shit. Like, it's a piece of shit. I've commented on he blocked me, so I can't comment on his videos anymore. I was like, great. Now show us, like, actually, like, so what he's doing a lot of times is he's not, they're garbage. They're garbage. They don't work. Jared over at Neves Knives pointed it out. They're not good. He's scamtastic. There you go. Yep. Scamtastic. I'll show you guys want to see another scam? Don't buy this. Don't buy these. What'd I do with my Rambo knife? It's not in its box. Oh, there it is. I want to keep it with the box. There are, I mean, we know that this is going to be crappy. This is just a crappy phony. Hey, Ethan Ruins EDC. What's up, buddy? How you been? This is just a crappy movie replica knife. It's not a Lyle. It won't ever try to be a Lyle. It doesn't even have Lyle's markings. It's a movie replica. This is an actual knife that they're selling. And it's bad. Too late, you already bought it. This thing's garbage. This is fucking horrible. And I looked at the price on them, and they're not cheap. And it's just, oh, this is an outdoor knife. And I'm like, no, it's not. And it didn't come sharp. Like, it's not sharp at all. Like, if this was sharp, I am pushing a good bit of pressure. It's not sharp. If I did that with the knife I just sharpened, I would be at the emergency room getting my thumb put back together. Don't buy these. They're horrible. This is, I'm telling you right now, this is fixed blade version of M-Tech. Even the font is, well, I can show you. Hang on. I have one. Because one of you guys sent me one, and everybody's like, well, if you hate that knife, I was talking about, oh, hey, look, there's your black Talon. I found it. It was underneath my notebook. I was complaining about the fact that M-Tech are so bad. And you're like, well, complain about it. Why'd you buy it? And I was like, I don't buy most of the knives that are on this channel. I'm trying to find the M-Tech. But if you've ever seen an M-Tech, they're trash. They're horrible. Some of the worst knives on the market. Where's my M-Tech? I think it wound up on a shelf over here because I keep it because it was a gift and it was a gag gift. At any rate, M-Tech uses the same font. M-Tech uses the same font on their knives, which tells me, I mean, it's exactly the same. It's the same markings. The USA design, made in China, crafted in China, exactly the same verbiage, exactly the same. This is M-Tech. I'm telling you right now, this is an M-Tech. And their heat treat is always garbage. I tried cutting with this, it won't even cut. I tried to hone it a little bit and fix the edge a little bit on a ceramic rod. It is just, every time I do anything with it, it did get, let me rephrase that. It did get a little sharp, and I'm like, oh, it may cut. It may actually cut. And then, I'm looking for that M-Tech still. Let's turn this around so I can show you what I'm talking about. And yes, I did destroy the Pocky One Chip Challenge at one point. I cut a little bit of cardboard with it, and if you can see, the edge is just already wrecked. Look at that. It was sharp. I got an edge on it, but it just rolled over. There's no heat treat on this. That tip right there, like, and I mean, when I say I cut a little bit, I mean a very little bit, like maybe a couple cardboard boxes. It's, no, it's an M-Tech. I'm telling you right now. I can tell by the grind lines and the way things are finished and all that. It's an M-Tech. It's just another brand of M-Tech. No, I'm not doing it again. You realize that after I did that Pocky One Chip Challenge live with you guys, like 3 days later, 3 weeks later, I wound up in the hospital with a perforated intestine. Not saying, just saying. Know what I'm saying? So don't buy those. Don't buy pull-throughs. Pull-throughs are horrible. They remove more material. Don't buy that freaking scamalicious Sharpen's Best. They're garbage. Learn to sharpen. Yeah, they're not good. And the fact is, they're not cheap. Like, M-Techs aren't that cheap. They really aren't when you look at them for what you're getting. You're not getting much. Oh, back to removing rust. Freshwater, one of these. If you need to remove some rust, nothing more than one of these and some double-aught. A double-aught steel wool. There we go. That's the word I was desperately trying to drag from the back of my brain. I haven't been getting a lot of sleep. My shoulder's really been bothering me, and I guarantee it's going to be worse. Have you seen a Tormek T8? Yeah, Tormek's a great system. If you want a powered system, that would be the one. Like, that's the only powered system I would recommend because it's designed to do the old school water wheel, kick water wheel that you saw the guy doing the axes and hatchets and stuff with in the movies. The great big wheel with the kick plate. That is a great, great system. Comes with guides. You can also freehand on it. It is great. So it does have limitations. You're gonna have a hard time doing recurves and stuff on it because of the width of the stone and all that. But they're great. And it's an actual water stone. It's meant to do that. It's you got the 2 grits, and then you have the stropping edge, and they don't overheat your edge. The problem I have with the powered systems, like the Work Sharp, the Ken Onion Work Sharp, and I talked to Ken. I was like, "Why would you do that?" I was like, "I'll put my name on anything, pretty much." He's not shy about it. Like he'll tell you, it's like, if it works ish, I'll put my name on it. If they're gonna pay me, I'll put my name on. I saw him in a knife show, and he goes, fucking, I don't know. He's like, maybe it's about time for me to shit out another knife design and then sit back and eat Cheetos and watch movies. And I'm like, he's like, I just put my name on shit sometimes. Fucking, I get paid. I'm like, fuck, that must be nice. So should I put Vaseline on a new switchblade out the side? I said you can. The reason I said not to put it on out the front, I said absolutely, yeah. It's a good idea. Depending on the steel. If it's stainless steel, you really don't need to. Depending on the steel, if it's something that's susceptible, like 3V, 4V, D2, crew wear, some of those steels are more susceptible to rust. Yeah, you should put it. But like, if you're looking at something that's in 440, 20 CV, M390, any of those, they're really rust resistant. You shouldn't need to put much on them. Just wipe them off occasionally, keep them clean, keep them dry. If you do get them wet, you get something on them, wipe them off. If you get a little bit of corrosion on most of those stainless steels, you can rub it off with your thumbnail and then clean it up and oil it. But on an out the side, if you have an out the side, like you're not getting that in, like it's not getting down in the mechanism, right? This is a switchblade. It's out the side. Just happen to have one laying around, you know. I happen to have like a fucking $800 fucking switchblade laying around. You're only putting it on a blade. If you're doing it on a, hang on. The reason I said not to do it on an OTF, everybody loves when this happens. It's knives start just coming out of everywhere. If you're doing it on an OTF, the reason I said not to do it on an OTF, I just got a text on my buddy's watching it, but he's not commenting. He goes, "Oh, here we go. Tons of knives are going to start popping out." If you're doing it on an OTF, like, shut up, I'm doing a video. If you do it on this, what happens is that heavy grease or Vaseline will get down inside the mechanism, and these need a really clean, unobstructed mechanism. Right? You don't want to put anything on this blade. Well, first of all, this is an LMAX. It's really rust resistant anyway. But if you get stuff down inside, it's going to gum up the works, and then you have a knife that just basically, well, I'll show you what will happen. This isn't what it's not actually doing it, but what will happen is it won't completely deploy because the springs and everything bind up, and it doesn't allow it to go free, and you'll have to constantly be reattaching the blade to the rail. If you use something really light. Now, Rem oil works really well. Rem oil evaporates pretty quick because it's a solvent based. So solvent based stuff evaporates off quick. Now it does leave the PETF, but then the PETF, the what is it? The Teflon that stays in it starts to gum up. So I don't like using PETF. That's why I like this. It doesn't have any PETF. It doesn't dry up almost ever. And you only have to re-oil your knife every few months. I just recently did this one, and all you do is, you can still see there's a little bit of oil. Just put a drop of oil on either side of the blade with it open like this, and then run the mechanism a couple times. So if you do happen to have a knife like this that's really dirty and it has one of these butt caps, put a scribe in this, take this butt cap off, and then it's going to only open one time after you do this until you get everything oiled. I do have a favorite knife, Wayne. I'm not ignoring you. not ignoring you. I do have a favorite knife, but I want to get to the jet spray come out. Jet spray gum out. That was a horrible, horrible slip of the tongue. You take that out, you spray jet spray gum out, and it cleans out all the old solvent and any of the dirt, and then you just simply re-lubricate the blade, and you fight with it because it's going to be really stiff because now it's no lubrication. You put a couple drops of that on here, and you get it, and then that will get enough of it in that then it starts to slowly lubricate the rails and everything. Favorite knife. Now, I have to preface this because I can't just say I have a favorite knife. I have several. I have a most important knife I've ever owned, which is a knife my father gave me, which is right over here somewhere. It's in this little case somewhere. I'm trying to find it. There it is. I have a little pocket knife that my father got me. I'm 50 years old. I think I was 6 when he got this for me. I've had this knife for 44 years. Just a little crappy cameless silver sword. I carried this to 16% of the countries in the world when I was in the military. It was always in my pocket everywhere I went in my uniform. I carried this to Kuwait and Iraq and Afghanistan and Japan and all the other places I ever went in the world. It was in my pocket, unless it was prohibited to carry. It was in my pocket. So this is the most important knife, and there by default has to be my favorite because, you know, my dad's passed away. This is something I've had. You see the pocket polish on that? This is something I've had for years. And I just wouldn't ever part with it. As far as a favorite knife, currently, I have a bunch of knives that are really important, but I have a couple knives that have really brought themselves to the front. This is right now probably my favorite knife right now. And this is that Jesus Christ, Microtech Amphibian in the Ramlock. But I also have a couple of really important knives that were gifts from friends that are really important. I have some custom hand carved knives that were gifts that I have that are awesome. And then I have a knife that I pulled out and put somewhere. Now I can't find it. I have a Grimsmo Norseman, which is, well, tied pretty much with this other knife. Where did I put my Norseman? I had it when we did a live feed the other day. I have a Grimsmo Norseman. I paid like $1,000 for it, and it's absolutely a gorgeous knife. It's like probably one of the best knives ever made, and I love it. Is that stone cold? No, it's just room temperature. Not stone cold. Have you a zombie knife? There's no such thing as a zombie knife. That's a British thing. That's something happened in England. Or like, oh, these are zombie knives. It's a knife. Okay, so you should find some stuff that's members only. You should find a members section, and it should have all of my posts. And if you go down, there is a playlist on YouTube of my tutorial videos that I put together that's available only to paying members. So look at my playlists and look at the member stuff. This, I've actually been using this as a cane because my knees hurt all the time because I'm old. And I was in the military for my entire adult life. I've started carrying this, and this is that sword cane. I've started carrying this because in all actuality, we have mountain lions and stuff like that. But the other day, shortly after I got this, I had this with me, and I'm like, I want to see how it acts. I want to see how it works as an actual cane. And it's not bad as an actual cane. It's nice to have. There were a couple of dogs that came out and ran out like little assholes and tried to attack my poor, defenseless 100-pound golden retriever that is scared of the chair when it makes noise. Like, he's scared of this. When I put it down, it makes noise, and he's scared of it. There's a couple little shithead dogs that tried to attack my dog, and I had this. Now, I didn't pull the sword out, but I'm going to tell you right now, you hold this like this because that's 2 millimeter thick tubing that this sits in, and it's hefty. I was like, yeah. And the retention on this handle is good enough that I felt comfortable swinging it. And I took a swing at one of them because I'm trying to attack my little buddy. It's a lot of fun. So, yeah, I have a lot of cool stuff. My buddy got this because when he was in town, we went for a walk, and we had been drinking and partaking in the devil's lettuce, you know, jazz cabbage. And so we were out for a walk, and a mountain lion crossed the street. We were with the dog, we're walking. There's a mountain lion just nonchalantly crossed the street on the back street behind us at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night underneath the street light. And we were maybe, I want to say we were like, if 100 yards away. That was we were probably 50 yards away. Not enough that we got his attention. And I was like, yeah, we should probably turn around. He goes, what the fuck was that? And I was like, it was a mountain lion. And he goes, we get back here before he took an Uber back to his hotel. He was like, I just ordered you something. He said, I'll be here like Tuesday. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I ordered you a sword cane, but it's actually a good cane. Especially, like, I have a problem as tall as I am. Like I said, I'm 6'3". I have a problem finding canes that are the right size. I have a cane, but it's one of those the crappy adjustable ones, all the like the crappy gray-handled hospital one that's adjustable. I don't want that. They look shitty. And I'm like, I have a hard time finding a cane that's the proper length for me to use as an actual cane. Just so happens that if you put a full-length sword in a cane, it makes it the perfect length for a cane for me. And I'm like, oh, how convenient. So, guys, it's been 2 hours. I'm going to end this. It's been fun. I love hanging out with you guys. The sharpening part was fine. If you're here and you didn't watch the sharpening part, go back and watch the sharpening from the beginning. That's about all I got on this one. We'll hang out. I'm going to do an actual video about this. I told Scab over at Choir Boys Cutlery that I saw his video about this, and he goes, brother, that was the first video I ever did. And I was like, oh, cool. So there's been 10,000 views on this current live feed. So if you have not subscribed, I'm not saying you have to, but if you enjoyed it, please subscribe. If you liked it, please drop a like. And if you feel frisky, you can always drop a super chat. I wouldn't be offended. But I got to get these microphones put away, get them charged, and I got to get this cleaned up because I am going to try and film tomorrow. It all just depends. I'm off like an out-of-date pint of milk. Okay. So, guys, I love y'all. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. See you in the next video.